The exception to 210.12b addresses a specific scenario where arc fault circuit interrupter, or AFCI, protection is required in a branch circuit. This exception provides an alternative method of achieving AFCI protection under certain conditions. The core of the exception lies in the type of wiring method used for a portion of the branch circuit. Specifically, it concerns the section of the circuit running from the branch circuit overcurrent protective device, such as a circuit breaker, to the very first outlet in that circuit. The exception states that if rigid metal conduit, or RMC, intermediate metal conduit, or IMC, electrical metallic tubing, or IMT, or steel armored cable, specifically type AC, is used for this initial portion of the branch circuit, and that armored cable meets all the requirements outlined in 250.118, then a specific installation method for AFCI protection is permitted. It is crucial that metal outlet and junction boxes are used in conjunction with these conduit or cable types. This means that the boxes where the wires are connected and where devices like outlets are mounted must be made of metal. If these conditions are met, it is permitted to install a combination AFCI at the first outlet in the circuit. A combination AFCI is a device that provides protection against both arc faults and overcurrent. By placing the AFCI at the first outlet, it can effectively monitor and protect the remaining downstream portion of the branch circuit. This exception recognizes that certain wiring methods, like those using metal conduit or armored cable, provide a high degree of protection against arc faults due to their inherent grounding and shielding characteristics. By using these methods for the initial part of the circuit, the risk of arc faults is significantly reduced. Therefore, installing a combination AFCI at the first outlet is deemed sufficient to protect the rest of the circuit. It's very important to understand the specific requirements and limitations of this exception. Firstly, the wiring method must be one of those explicitly listed RMC, IMC, EMT, or steel armored cable type AC meeting the requirements of 250.118. Secondly, metal outlet and junction boxes are mandatory. Thirdly, the AFCI must be a combination type, meaning it provides both arc fault and overcurrent protection. If these conditions are not met, the standard AFCI requirements of 210.12b must be followed. The intention of this exception is to provide flexibility in AFCI installation while still maintaining a high level of safety. By allowing the AFCI to be placed at the first outlet under these specific circumstances, it can simplify wiring and reduce costs in certain situations. However, it's essential to ensure that all the conditions are met to guarantee the effectiveness of the AFCI protection. Let's delve deeper into the specific aspects of this exception, starting with the wiring methods. RMC, or rigid metal conduit, is a heavy-duty steel conduit typically used in harsh environments or where physical protection is required. IMC, or intermediate metal conduit, is similar to RMC but is lighter in weight and generally less expensive. EMT, or electrical metallic tubing, is a lightweight steel conduit commonly used in commercial and residential applications. Steel armored cable type AC consists of insulated conductors wrapped in a flexible metal armor. The 250.118 reference specifies the requirements for grounding and bonding these cable types. Using metal outlet and junction boxes is a critical aspect of this exception. Metal boxes provide a continuous ground path, which helps to minimize the risk of arc faults. They also offer physical protection for the wiring connections. A combination AFCI is designed to detect both series and parallel arc faults, as well as overcurrents. A series arc fault occurs when there is a break in a conductor, while a parallel arc fault occurs when there is a short circuit between two conductors. Overcurrents occur when the current exceeds the rated capacity of the circuit. By detecting these conditions, the combination AFCI can quickly trip the circuit and prevent a fire. The phrase first outlet is important. It refers to the very first point in the circuit where electrical power is drawn for utilization, whether it's a receptacle, a lighting fixture, or any other electrical device. This exception is not meant to allow you to arbitrarily choose any outlet in the circuit to install the AFCI. It has to be the initial one directly fed from the protected wiring method. The phrase remaining portion of the branch circuit refers to everything downstream from that first outlet. This includes all subsequent wiring, outlets, and connected devices. The AFCI at the first outlet is responsible for protecting all of this downstream equipment. It is crucial to understand that this exception is not a blanket waiver of AFCI requirements. It only applies under very specific circumstances. In all other cases, the standard AFCI requirements of 210.12b must be followed. It's also important to consult with local electrical codes and regulations, as they may have additional requirements or restrictions. If there is any doubt about whether this exception applies to a particular situation, it's always best to err on the side of caution and follow the standard AFCI requirements. It's also worth noting that the National Electrical Code, or NEC, is constantly evolving, and new revisions may include changes to the AFCI requirements. Therefore, it's essential to stay up to date with the latest version of the NEC and any applicable local codes. To summarize, the exception to 210.12b provides an alternative method of achieving AFCI protection in branch circuits where specific wiring methods are used for the portion of the circuit between the overcurrent device and the first outlet. If RMC, IMC, EMT, or steel armored cable type AC is used in conjunction with metal outlet and junction boxes, a combination of AFCI can be installed at the first outlet to protect the remaining portion of the circuit. However, it's crucial to ensure that all the conditions of this exception are met and to consult with local codes and regulations. Remember, electrical safety is paramount, and AFCI protection plays a vital role in preventing electrical fires. It is essential to have a thorough understanding of the AFCI requirements and to follow them carefully to ensure the safety of people and property. Furthermore, keep in mind that while this exception provides some flexibility, it does not diminish the importance of proper wiring practices and grounding techniques. These are fundamental aspects of electrical safety that must always be followed, regardless of the AFCI requirements. Also, consider the practical implications of using this exception. While it may simplify wiring in some situations, it may also add complexity in others. For example, it may be necessary to use different wiring methods for different parts of the same branch circuit. It's important to carefully consider all the factors involved before deciding whether to use this exception. In addition to the technical aspects of this exception, it's also important to consider the economic implications. Using different wiring methods can affect the cost of materials and labor. It's important to weigh these costs against the potential benefits of using this exception. Finally, remember that the ultimate goal of AFCI protection is to prevent electrical fires. Electrical fires can cause significant damage and injury, so it's essential to take all necessary precautions to prevent them. By understanding the AFCI requirements and following them carefully, you can help to ensure the safety of yourself and others. When considering the application of this exception, it's important to remember that the intent of the electrical code is always to ensure safety first. While the code provides flexibility and options, these are always within the context of maintaining a safe electrical installation. The exception to 210.12b is not a loophole to avoid AFCI protection, but rather a carefully considered allowance for specific wiring scenarios that are deemed to provide an equivalent level of safety. If you are unsure about any aspect of AFCI protection or the application of this exception, it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician or electrical inspector. They can provide expert guidance and ensure that your electrical installation meets all applicable codes and standards. The use of listed and labeled equipment is also crucial for ensuring electrical safety. Listed equipment has been tested and certified by a recognized testing laboratory to meet specific safety standards. Labeled equipment has been marked with the listing mark of the testing laboratory. Using listed and labeled equipment helps to ensure that the equipment is safe and reliable. In the context of this exception, it is especially important to use listed and labeled AFCIs. These devices have been tested and certified to meet the performance requirements of the applicable safety standards. It's also important to follow the manufacturer's instructions for installation and use of the AFCI. Improper installation or use of the AFCI can compromise its performance and increase the risk of electrical fires. The NEC also contains requirements for the location of AFCIs. In general, AFCIs are required to be readily accessible. This means that they must be located in a place where they can be easily reached and operated. The NEC also prohibits the installation of AFCIs in certain locations, such as in hazardous locations or in damp or wet locations. When working with electrical systems, it is always important to follow safe work practices. This includes de-energizing the circuit before working on it, using appropriate personal protective equipment, and following lockout/tagout procedures. It's also important to be aware of the potential hazards associated with electrical work, such as electric shock and arc flash. By following safe work practices, you can minimize the risk of injury. Regular inspection and maintenance of electrical systems is also essential for ensuring electrical safety. This includes inspecting wiring, connections, and equipment for damage or wear, and replacing any damaged or worn components. It's also important to test AFCIs periodically to ensure that they are functioning properly. By performing regular inspection and maintenance, you can identify and correct potential problems before they lead to electrical fires. In summary, the exception to 210.12b provides a specific allowance for AFCI protection in certain wiring scenarios. However, it's crucial to understand the specific requirements and limitations of this exception and to follow all applicable codes and standards. Electrical safety is paramount, and AFCI protection plays a vital role in preventing electrical fires.